Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Juice. Today, we interview rock star winemaker Jamie Marfell from Stoneleigh Vineyards. Welcome him along with me.
No, perfect. Sounds good.
Well, amazing. Thanks for joining us. I know you're joining us at 10 a.m. in New Zealand. It looks like a beautiful day over there. Wayne, what does a typical day look like for you in New Zealand?
No, so we're just going into winter. So basically, if you look around us, the leaves are just falling off. So we've only just started pruning. So yeah, we're just done a hit into winter. So, but we're pruning really early because of the whole COVID, just trying to get staff. So we're straight into it, straight into pruning. So at the winery, things are just finished fermenting. We're blending flat out at the moment. The 2021s, and the 2021s are just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So
nice.
Really happy.
I mean, that's so exciting. You live in the future for us here in Canada. And I uploaded this photo of one of the ones from the vineyard at Stoneleigh. And so I'm sort of living in the summertime picture and you're living in the springtime picture of New Zealand vineyards at Stoneleigh. Yeah.
I think I prefer to be in the summer. It's a bit chilly out here. It's still, I'd say it's still negatives. Oh, actually, it's not that bad. It's about 4 or 5 degrees. It's not too cold. The frost disappeared, but it's good.
Yeah. For Canada, I know. I mean, it was snowing earlier this week. We had it at 4 to 5 degrees, and there was snow in the end of May. It was kind of a little Mother Nature's being a little wild these days, but unpredictable she is.
Yeah, we've had a pretty crazy season this season. I mean, we had kind of a poor flowering, but went into summer. We had a gorgeous summer which went into our our harvest period, and it was an amazing season. It was just so mild and it was just perfect for ripening the grapes and getting the fruit off. And like I said before, the vintage itself from this year is absolutely outstanding. So actually we're really lucky. So yeah, we just need a few frosts now to get rid of the bugs. So it's a good time. Yeah.
Well, I know. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Everyone here, we're drinking the New Zealand 2020 vintage of the wines. I mean, tell us about what 2020 was like for you versus what you think 2021 is going to be, or maybe some previous vintages. What was was it sort of an epic vintage or?
Yeah, it was pretty damn good, actually. It was good coming off. We had, I guess, 18 and 19, we had some weather events, which kind of, we normally get the odd one or two, but 18 and 19, we had about 2 or 3 weather events in each of those 2 vintages. Then we come to 20 and it went really well. I kind of buried it a little bit because it was amongst the whole COVID thing. So, we're more worried about staff than everything else, and it kind of come through. And it was a pretty strong vintage. So, like Sauvignon Blancs we're about to try today was pretty good. The Pinots look good. The Chardonnays are outstanding. So overall, it's a really good vintage. I mean, I guess compared to 21 was about 30-40% down, depending on which variety. So the wine quality was up anyway. But yeah, I guess 20 and 21 are both good vintages when I look back.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So that's really great to know. I know today we're talking specifically, I mean, I've been drinking Stoneleigh for a really long time. I feel like it's been one of my heartbeat wines that I've always had from New Zealand. But today we're talking about these lighter wines that you're creating, and this really interesting movement, I feel like, in New Zealand, which has started it and is really sort of trend setting for the rest of the world. But this idea of lighter wines, I mean, I find this thrilling and very exciting. I mean, as you can see, my bottle is half empty at the moment. So I did have a glass of wine with lunch, which is part of the beauty about having a lighter wine.
Yeah.
So just to give some people a bit of a background about maybe a couple things about these wines, but they're 25% lower in alcohol and 25% lighter in calories. So, I mean, this is an amazing invention. So how do you feel about doing this and working in the vineyard? What does it mean to you as a winemaker?
I guess the project started about 8-9 years ago. And I guess we were talking with marketing and talking to the sales guys, and there's a lot of stuff happening, I guess, in the marketplace now. I guess lower in alcohol, the drink driving rules in New Zealand changed, and the whole health benefit lifestyle thing was kind of kicking into action. And I remember they came to about 8-9 years ago, and they said, "Oh, can we have a look at this low alcohol thing? Can we do something? With like Marlborough Sauv Blanc and have a wee play." And I thought, this sounds really good, actually. At the time, I found it quite interesting because I was quite lucky, say 15-20 years ago, I had an opportunity to make some wines in Germany. So, and a lot of the wines I was making was in the Mosel. And that was kind of a eureka moment because over there, I remember the owner, the winemaker, was taking me out for lunch, and he'd say, "Oh, let's have a couple of glasses of wine." I'll be going, "Oh, nah, I've got to go back to work." And he's going, "No, these are low out. These are 8.5% wines, and these are these Cabernet, Spateleys, Rieslings, and they're gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous wines." And when I came back to New Zealand, I mean, when I made my own Riesling, I kind of changed my whole philosophy about where alcohol should sit and balance and acidity and sugar. And I kind of took those learnings into this project where I went, okay, can we do it? Of course we can. We've got flavour, we've got acidity, we've got freshness, we've got everything on our side. Okay, let's go have a talk to the viti guys and go to the vineyards and have a yak to those guys. And so, okay, this is what we're after. We're after a riper profile, but at lower bricks, lower sugar levels. And I'll do the rest in the winery, Now, acid, my friend, I just got to be careful with it. And, if I can get the flavor profiles right, I could actually do it in the winery. So the idea with the part of the project was we weren't going to use machines. We weren't going to, use spinning cones or reverse osmosis and bits and pieces to rip the alcohol out, because it's not our New Zealand thing. It's definitely not a STONELEIGH thing. So we just sat down and went, okay, we can do this in the vineyard. We can do it with winemaking. So the whole philosophy behind it was, you put the effort in the vineyard, get the right vineyards, pick the right vineyards, which ripen early, got some nice flavors nice and early, take a little bit more leaf off around the fruit zone, a bit more exposure to the sun, kind of bring on the flavors a little bit earlier, then pick it really early and just trying to get that balance right. So when you're tasting the grape in the vineyard, you're after that ripe grape. And now the viti guys do a great job. Then in winemaking, it's just a yeast selection, just the right yeast. We've got a couple of yeasts which eat up a bit of malic acid, which tends to be the little hard acid. Then basically the wines make themselves, and everything kind of fell into line. And we've ended up with this gorgeous wine. And it's like you're saying, it's 9.5% alcohol. So it's sitting in that lovely place. And I guess the acid sugar balance is right too. So we stop ferment it. So it's got a little bit of sugar at the end. So it's got a bit, usually it's between 10 and 12 grams, but we tend to stop it just based on taste. We kind of went, this tastes good. Yeah, we just go from there.
I love that though, that you were sort of, I love that to be inspired by Riesling, because, I feel like Riesling's sort of been this unsung grape, I think, in the wine world for, in the major consumer world. I think most of us wine geeks have loved Riesling for a very long time. But to have that, you're right, that kind of really trains your mind. And I think once you've made Riesling, to kind of really think about Sauvignon Blanc in a lighter version way too, right? So the winemaking really helps your mental activity in the vineyard and in the winemaking styles.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a matter of getting your balance right and you're getting your viticulture right and just kind of challenge yourself. So like you're saying, we do it with Sauvignon Blanc, we do it with Pinot Gris, we've done it with the Rosé. We do it with also a little bit of Sauvignon Gris as well. We've got we grow a little bit of Sauvignon Gris as well. So it's just a matter of getting your ducks all lined up and just getting your head in the game. And it's been a really good challenge. And the whole philosophy, the thing was, the idea was to make it as just as good as a full strength, 30%, 12.5% wine. So when you put into a wine competition, I like to think that you should be getting gold medals in a good year as well. It's nothing, it's just a style thing, and you just get the balance right. So there's the challenge, but it's been a good challenge. The wines are good.
Yeah. So how, obviously you're meticulously analyzing your vineyards on, which ones are ripening quicker and sooner. And so, obviously I think any winemaker is very detailed, or vigneron is detailed in which grapes kind of grow. But how much earlier are you kind of harvesting? Or are you finding that, with the leaf, you sort of like the canopy management and sort of like understanding your terroir a little bit, is harvest happening at the same time for these wines than usual Sauvignon Blanc, or is it a little bit before?
It's definitely before. Usually it's like a little test run for our winery. Usually it's about 2 to 3 weeks beforehand. So basically, it's really good for us because it gets us out in the vineyards and tasting the grapes really early. So there's a real kicker for us, actually. So we're out there looking the whole time, tasting, getting close. Then that means also we know where the rest of harvest is coming. So we understand it's actually quite a good learning, but it's just getting out and tasting the grapes. Yeah, there's nice. 2 to 3 weeks earlier, or usually about 3 weeks early. Yeah, there's a real fine line because with Sauvignon Blanc, it's quite nice. They taste pretty good, but some of the acid is just, beautiful. Yeah, you gotta love the acid. We are a cool climate, so it's a bit like Riesling in Germany. It's like it was a bit of a shock when you see the acidities come in. It's like, whoa, what are these? So, hey, we're winemakers. That's what it's all about. So yeah, it's good.
I mean, this wine is so gorgeous, and you're right. Compared to its classic version, I feel like blind, you could never really. I don't think you could pick it out blind next to Stoneleigh Classic. You know, maybe next to the Latitude. Obviously, winemaking differences there as well, but the Stoneleigh Classic, I feel like this is one of those wines that is, it mimics the same thing. It has those amazing passion fruit and grapefruit notes on it. I mean, the aromas just jump out at you. They're so enticing is a great word for this wine.
Yeah, I think the thing we've got to watch out for, especially in Marlborough here in New Zealand, is the big call out is methoxypyrazines. Those really green characteristics, that cut grass, capsicum. Sometimes if you get it too green, it looks like a vegetable. It can get a bit kind of parsnipy, or it just looks pretty nasty. So hence the viticulture is really, really important to get that right. And we're really concentrate on those aromatic passion fruit, grapefruit, which is a thiol. So we can dial that up as a winemaker with yeast, the right type of yeast. We can dial up that passion fruit and kind of hide some of those green characters as well.
Now, I also I know you haven't tried the rosé yet, but your wines are vegan. And I want you to talk to us about what that means to you as a winemaker. How does that change in the background for winemaking?
It's kind of an interesting one. Marketing came to us and said, "Oh, this whole vegan thing's kicked off," and I went, "No, it's sweet, no problem at all." And they go, "Well, when can we start making vegan wines?" And I said, "Oh, we could have done it 5 years ago if you wanted." It's something we've always done. Part of our philosophy is trying not to add stuff when we don't need to. Our inputs into our winemaking is pretty minimal. We're quite lucky at Stoneleigh. About 75% of the fruit we actually get, and it's off our own estate. So we've got complete control over, our resource. So, if I've got a winemaking issue, I need to do a fining or something. It's usually I can fix it up with fruit quality. So basically, I try not to add anything. So the only thing I really add is a little bit of bentonite, for stabilization. And we use a little bit of pea protein for clarification, but pretty much everything else, it's all vegan. So the transition has just been very calm and collected. Yeah, that was an easy one.
I mean, that's so funny. It's such a hot trend right now in the business, but I think most people don't even know wine can or is not vegan. And I think from a historical perspective, I think in wine we do a lot of things that we've always done because we've always done them, right? So it's interesting to know that it's a quick change. It's such an easy change to do in the winemaking.
Yeah, I kind of had a philosophy that if you had to add some things like milk, or you're adding isinglass, some sort of fish protein or a bit of gelatin, whatever it is, you're actually stripping something out of the wine. So when you're taking stuff out, it's not good. So my philosophy is to leave it all in, let the vintage, let the vineyards express themselves. So yeah, no, it was easy transition. Yeah.
Now I know you grew up on a farm, and you grew up next to vines. Did you sort of have that aha moment that you wanted to be a winemaker, or was it sort of just something that came very naturally to your career?
Yeah, mum and dad, we're off a sheep farm, so we used to have a block of grapes here in Marlborough. So, and it was kind of funny. It was an interesting story that I was 8 years old on the school bus when they first planted grapes here in Marlborough, and it's quite crazy. You just see these paddocks just get transformed from cropping and sheep farming into grapes. And even my father told me at the time that they didn't know what they're doing, and this is stupid, planting grapes in good sheep country. It's just crazy. So, hey, I was just brought up with it, and early in my childhood, I was working in the vineyards. My friends, put in vineyards, and basically all of Marlborough just started getting planted up. So I was kind of brought up, immersed in it, really. So I was kind of the first generation of winemakers coming through, really, from here in Marlborough. So it's been a good growth. It's been amazing, just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, this is the time to be in winemaking. I feel like there's so many changing things every year. Something changes in the wine world. It's kind of a very innovative time to be here.
Yeah, I think quite lucky in New Zealand because we're open to trying anything and new varieties and new methods of viticulture, new methods of winemaking. So it's like wine styles and stuff like this. Like this wine here, it's not a challenge. Oh, that is it. It's a great challenge. We love this sort of stuff. So it's kind of pushing the boundaries a little bit. Always moving. Yeah.
What's
Trying
your
to make
favorite
better wines anyway?
Yeah, every year you just try to make better wines, right? Mother Nature helps you with the vines as they change and they get older. And I mean, I'm sure you're seeing that as vines change too, and as they grow older, the Sauvignon Blanc vines. I mean, is there something that changes directly in a Sauvignon Blanc vine as it tends to get older?
I think go through facets. I mean, it's pretty hard to tell. Here in Marlborough, the industry is only just about 40, 50 years old. So that Stoneleigh is only about 40 years old. So all we're seeing at the moment is you see some maturation of vines. The crop levels come back a little bit. I think the vines kind of settle down a bit and you get more even yields and stuff like that. But I think they kind of hit their own after about 10, 15 years. They start producing this great, beautiful quality wines. Yeah, it's always going to be expressive. No, the vines themselves are pretty healthy. They love it here. They're a definite weed in Marlborough. They actually grow. They love it. You know, all they need is a bit of water. Yeah, that's the thing with Sauvignon Blanc. They love a little bit of water and big lush, big canopies, green leaves. They love it. Yeah, they don't like to be stressed out too much. So we show them a lot of love.
Yeah. And then the rosé, on the other hand, is Pinot Noir, correct? The rosé is made from Pinot Noir.
It's a combination. Actually, it's a mixture of varieties. It's a combination of varieties. Yeah, so it's got some Pinot Noir. It's got some Pinot Noir. It's got some Pinot Gris. It's got some Sauvignon Blanc, and it's got some Sauvignon Gris as well. So it's a real mixture of varieties.
Wow. And how did this blend come to be more in the winemaking process where you were tasting out the blends, or is this sort of, how did you come to be with this final taste profile?
Well, it is. We're looking for still the same thing. We're looking for the acidity and freshness, and some vibrancy. To do it out actually of Pinot Noir, we've tried a few times to do it out of 100% Pinot Noir. It's always been quite difficult to kind of get the balance right. We still want that vibrancy, that aperitif kind of feel about the wine. So hence the Pinot Gris and the mixture of varieties. And basically from year to year, we'll play with the varieties to just get the balance right. Yeah.
Wow. And I know that the stones obviously are very important. That's hence STONELEIGH. But I mean, I have the stones behind me, but one of the major parts of the vineyard, I mean, other than the vines and Mother Nature and the winemaking and the winemaker and the winemaking team, the stones do a lot for the vines too, don't they?
Yeah, I think it's about the brand, and it's about our wine style is actually where it's grown. Our vineyards are on the Rapara side of the valley, on the northern side of the valley, really close to the Wairau River. So free draining soils, and you go for a drive around there, you can see that certain parts of the vineyard it's just 100% stones. They just lined up stones underneath the vines. Other parts there might be some topsoil, but the stones are there. It's all part of our inherent kind of quality of our vineyards. And that kind of comes through on the wine as well. Basically, when you try like the Sauvignon Blanc especially, you've got this kind of minerality, flintiness, and it's definitely something that you get from the soil. You get this kind of this kind of flintiness and kind of freshness about it on the palate. Definitely not a rich style of like Sauvignon Blanc. It's definitely very much about acidity and freshness. But yeah, the stones are the key element of the vineyard, and we talk about them warming up during the day and reflecting heat at night, because on this side of the valley, it's behind me over here to the left, but pointing away, pretty much it's the warmer side of the valley. It's warmer by about 1 or 2 degrees at night. Changes that Sauvignon Blanc wine style, quite unique to competitors here in Marlborough. Yeah. A lot more vibrancy, a lot more passion fruit, a lot more grapefruitness compared to other parts of the valley. Yeah.
Very interesting. I mean, this rosé this is a complex rosé on the nose. I mean, you get like juicy pear, but you also get some red berries. You get like apple as well, some like nectarine. It's like this very complex aromas. It's quite interesting.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is actually. It's good fun actually bleeding it up, because we want a bit of that raspberry, strawberry, kind of those red fruits. But you get, like you're saying, you get some nice nutty pear, and you get some of that kind of nectarine peaches. It's quite nice actually. It's all about that second glass. It's all about being linear and fresh. This one's all about a bit more generosity and a bit more richness. Yeah.
Exactly. Kind of fills your mouth up a little bit more, absolutely. Yeah. Well, and I know that Stoneleigh has some of the oldest grafted Sauvignon Blanc vines in Marlborough, don't they? You said they're 40 years old?
Getting their stuff got back into the 80s. So the industry here in Marlborough only started in the 70s. So the great thing about, when we planted our vines, one of the viticulturists had a German background, so he knew about phylloxera, so he planted on rootstock. So all of our vineyards, our Riesling, everything else, all planted on resistant phylloxera resistant rootstock, which was quite unusual at the time because people were just putting sticks in the ground basically. But we had a little bit more science. I guess it's lucky back then. We're very lucky that we had the person around who knew what he was doing. You got to be careful in the industry. It's 50 years old. There's a lot of sheep farmers driving tractors that didn't really know much about growing grapes. So we were making mistakes all the time. This one here, we had a wee win, so that was good.
Nice. And I know that, so the ancient bed of river stones that you were talking about, it's known as the Golden Mile of vineyards, is it not?
Yeah, we're lucky. It's because where we planted, at the time, it was the parent company at the time, bought the vineyards. They bought it because it's cheap, because it was loaded with stone. So it was a very difficult place to actually, grow sheep or grow anything else, because basically it was like a big riverbed. So it was actually really cheap land. So, which was perfect for grapes. So, it was a very eureka moment. And it's amazing that they made that decision. But it is a lot what we call the Golden Mile, because from a farming point of view, it's always been frost free. There's plenty of water. Other than it's full of stones, it's actually some of the more expensive kind of land in Marlborough per se. So we call it the Golden Mile. It's quite often used as for that Rapara region. Yeah, so that's where most of the Stoneleigh vineyards are based off, this Golden Mile.
Wow. So what are, so I know you grew up on a sheep farm, and you obviously, I think you like to cook. I feel like anybody in wine loves to cook and loves to eat. What are your favorite pairings with these two wines?
What do we do? I would say most of it, I was just trying to think what I usually cook, because a lot of our food I use a lot of Asian fusion sort of style of food, style of food type, because I like using a lot of chili and a lot of fresh things, coriander, miso, all sort of things. So I tend to be making more fresher styles of food. So we've got abundance of seafood. The Marlborough Sounds is only about 15-20 minutes from the drive. So seafood, prawns, any form of shellfish, mussels. Mussels are green-lip mussels, which are quite unique to New Zealand, to Marlborough as well. So anything like that. Wine, it's great because it's all about fresh and vibrancy. It's kind of, I had this wine last Saturday. I did a chicken dish with a miso paste, and I browned it off, and I had a Japanese noodle salad with slaw and lots of lemon and coriander. It was beautiful. But I actually had a glass of this on Saturday for lunch. So that's where it fits in beautifully. It's that kind of aperitif style. During the day, a glass of wine. It's good. Doesn't tie you out. It's great.
No, you're right. These are versatile wines too, because you're right. You do have that, when you have the lower alcohol, which I think just naturally helps as a pairing for food, lower the alcohol, it just helps naturally kind of have a more pleasant experience. Yeah. The other thing is that texture and weight, particularly on the rosé, it opens the door for so many great pairings, particularly, and I love that, the Asian fusion, that umami flavor you get, some vegan food pairings where you kind of maybe don't know what wine to pair with certain things. This wine, this rosé in particular, I feel like it's so versatile as a piece.
Yeah, I think I completely agree. It doesn't clash with food, it doesn't need food. It can sit on the side, To be honest, these wines chilled down as an aperitif. It's a glass of wine just before you cook the meal as well, That's why I tend to start. That's like that first glass of wine. The second one you have something to eat.
Yeah, exactly. By the time you actually get to dinner, there should be another bottle of wine open. It takes a whole bottle of wine to get to the kicking process. But These wines are really lovely. They do have some versatility in the pairings, and I mean the taste profile is like they're just juicy too. I feel like the rosé is juicy. The Sauvignon Blanc has this sort of freshness, this purity to it that people crave in wines from New Zealand. I mean, what's your favorite part? I mean, obviously I know you're from New Zealand, but I'm sure you've traveled all over the world, but what's your favorite part about New Zealand?
Oh, the outdoors have to be the outdoors. I mean,
yeah,
it's like sitting here. I mean, it's just gorgeous. I mean, the outdoors, there's something close by, within 15 minutes, you can go mountain biking, you can go for a walk 5 minutes down the road. I could be in a boat and be fishing in half an hour, that sort of thing. It's that kind of, everything's close by. So there's no reason not to do something. So as soon as you get a blue sky like now, it's kind of, okay, what are we doing this weekend? Let's plan something. Let's get out and enjoy it. And we get some good food. That's, I mean, the lovely thing being a white wine. I love cooking, so we just get some great, nice seafood. We can get some wild venison or pork, or something from the hills as well. So, nice glass of wine, good nice glass of Pinot, Chardonnay. We're kind of spoiled, really. That's good.
I mean, it's heaven over there. You've got the purity of the air. You have this closeness. There's like this island in the middle of the world. You make great wine. I mean, it's kind of hard to have a bad day, I think.
No, I don't think so. It's good. Yeah. Didn't look to the winds, I know that. It's good. That's great.
Well, Jamie, thank you so much for spending your time today and enlightening us on the Stoneleigh lighter wines and Stoneleigh overall. It's been such a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you so much.
Hey, no problem. Enjoy the wines. Yeah, really appreciate the time. Yeah.
Amazing.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
We'll see you in New Zealand or in Canada soon.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Come on down. Cheers.
Cheers.